welcome to my greenhouse. It's been about a week since our last update, and I just wanted to highlight a few things that have changed since our last update. I don't know if you recall from the July update where I was expressing some skepticism that my early watermelon was going to bear any fruit this year, but as you'll see, we actually are starting to get a few flowers. Now, these are male flowers, but I do see that we've got one female flower starting to form. And these watermelon actually produce small yellow fruit, so that is a female flower. So I'm very excited. Please stay tuned for further updates. We'll update you on the progress of that watermelon. With the winter squash, we've actually had a few female flowers come to fruit. This one I showed an update of on Twitter, and I pollinated it by hand a few days ago, and it does look like it's starting to take. The pollination was successful. Sometimes we get flower drop. And so it looks like we are going to get a Georgia Candy Roaster squash. And we do have some female flowers starting on these Thelma Saunders. They're not exactly a true acorn squash, but they form fruit like an acorn squash. And here's a couple of female flowers. One that I pollinated again a couple of days ago. And so I'm still waiting for these squash. This is the Worcester Indian Pumpkin, which have a lot of male flowers. Still waiting for a female flower to form. I have been pruning back the extra foliage, but this is the first time I've grown this particular winter squash, so it could just be that it's a little bit later than everything else. Here are the Burderokencore yellow beans. You'll see that there are much fewer on them on the bush than the last time I showed you. That's because we picked them and ate them a couple of days ago, and they tasted wonderful. We steamed them for about 5 minutes and then fried them with garlic butter, and it was extremely tasty. Here you'll see our celery is starting to mature. This is Paris celery, a heritage variety. It's the first time I've tried growing celery, and it is starting to get thicker stalks. And so I'm excited to taste the difference compared to store-bought. And here we have our cucumbers, and we have quite a lot of cucumbers forming. These are the ones that were bred to grow in a greenhouse, so they are self-pollinating. And this little guy is the one we have shown on Twitter. And I'll just take a measurement. And so you'll see, last time it was about 10 centimeters. And so at last count, it was about 10 centimeters, and now it's about 15 centimeters. I don't know if you saw that little red critter bouncing around on the cucumber. We do have some little red spider mites, but they don't seem to be doing any damage, and winter will take care of them. And so here are other variety of cucumber flowering, but no fruit just yet. And our corn, where we've been pollinating, shaking the stalks, and a lot of pollen will fall into these areas where ears are starting to form, and you'll see the silk there. So we're really excited to see how many ears of corn we'll get. And here are our onions that we grew from seed, and these ones are supposed to get to be about 2/3 to 3/4 pound, about 300 grams. And so that one's a good 1.5 inches across, or 3 centimeters or so across. So everything's really doing well. We're very excited. And in case you were wondering what this was, you've probably seen it in other videos, but I haven't talked about it. It is a volunteer sunflower. We didn't plant them, but it just came up, so it must have come from some seed last year, and it looks like we're starting to get a head forming of a flower. So we'll give you updates on this as well as things progress. And thank you for taking a walk with me in my greenhouse.